Hello and welcome back to Style Swap, a series I've done many episodes on with a variety of characters, pretty much every character you can think of. I get around a lot. It's been a long time and I am happy to say that the series is back. So let's do this. What's going on YouTube? My name is ADC Art Attack, his name is Bob, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now today's episode is a very special one with 10 new styles to tackle. However, these 10 styles are going to be split into 2 videos, and there's a good reason for that. As many of you know, I quit this series in response to AI art. AI came along and people were creating art style swaps at the click of a button. It was super quick, super efficient, and the styles were pretty accurate. I felt redundant. These videos take me a long time. Every one of the styles that I create takes me around 2 to 3 hours just studying the style before I actually begin creating drafts for the artwork. And yeah, many of the drawings you see in these final results are not the first drafts. There are a lot of trial and errors before I land on one that I like. I felt like my time was going to waste, if I'm being honest. It hurt my feelings, but we're back. Now, as I like to do in this series, here is a question for you. Which one of these styles is the one you are looking forward to the most? Please leave a comment down below right now, letting me know which one. Then what I want you to do is at the end of this video or the end of the next video, edit your comment underneath your comment, let me know if your style that you chose is still your favorite one. I'm always interested in knowing if I've let you down. But with that all being said, it is time to get started with our first style. And before we start this one, I've got to say, please keep in mind that when I do these style swaps, I do my best to pretend I am the creator of that universe, putting a character to fit into that universe. It's not merely taking the styles that they have adopted and putting them onto a character. I try to make the character make sense. And that's usually where it goes wrong, as you're about to see. Dragon Ball Z. I need a drink for this one. I'm so sorry. Now, one of the struggles I face when I start a challenge like this is working with an object. SpongeBob isn't a human. SpongeBob is an object, a sponge. So I have to fit a sponge into these universes, and believe me when I say, that is a lot harder than it sounds. Now, the great thing about Dragon Ball is it's already laid the foundation of aliens, and especially this thing, Majin Buu, which is pretty much just Play-Doh. So it really shouldn't be too much of a challenge. I can't get through this sentence. So it really shouldn't be too much of a challenge to get a sponge into the world of Dragon Ball, right? Now, I'm not going to do my own vision here, something that I have in mind, and I think all of us do. Because despite knowing the Dragon Ball style pretty well after 2 decades of drawing it, I have seen a lot of people in the community have a hard time swallowing new designs with unfamiliar features on characters. So I'm going to take inspiration from pre-existing characters within the verse and iconic features to put together a character design with characters like Majin Buu as a solid base. I obviously chose the Spongebob run. But now every Dragon Ball character is pretty much a humanoid form, unless there's a specific species of animal, but even then, even the animal-based characters are pretty much humanoid. So I'm gonna give a sponge the same treatment. That's just how I feel Akira Toriyama would have tackled this. And one of the key things I wanna keep intact here is the comedic side of it. I feel like SpongeBob is a comedic character, and someone like Akira Toriyama would play into that role, so we're gonna gravitate a little bit towards original Dragon Ball with this art style. But really, I didn't find any challenges here besides one big area, the hair. I don't think SpongeBob would have hair, but including the hair feels so wrong, it's gotta be right. And the ears and eyes may appear complex, but bulging eyes exist in Dragon Ball. Holes for ears exist in Dragon Ball. In fact, characters like Cell and even Majin Buu have shown that holes and patterns across a character's entire body do work. So there's no reason that the holes of SpongeBob wouldn't work. But as we move on to the inking really doesn't have much of a place in Dragon Ball. There is no specific style that makes it Dragon Ball, whichever style you go for. So ink to your heart's content. Have a good time, relax, ease up, enjoy the inking process. But the coloring. Dragon Ball is specific. Specifically Dragon Ball Z. There's various levels to the coloring, but Dragon Ball predominantly uses cell shading in the later half of the series. How many of those cells you choose to use, that is your choice. I typically opt for 3 shades per colored area, keeping the layering sharp and clean with the use of the deepest shade being pretty limited, so don't overdo that one. But as I started this coloring process, I actually decided to stick with the Dragon Ball traditional style of manga. Something felt right about it, so I steer cleared of the Dragon Ball Z coloring and moved into a more manga style. It felt right, and in the end, I think we have a Dragon Ball Z Spongebob. I think this turned out fantastic. It's an odd looking drawing. I'm not sure I actually like it, but there's so much comedic element to it. There's a light-hearted touch to it. I think we have a Dragon Ball comedic style here. I think it does work. Would it fit into the modern Dragon Ball? I don't know. I think I've landed pretty well on this style. I'm not sure if I like it myself, but I do find it quite charming. There is something quite fun with this character design. It's really scary, but I like it. What do you think? Moving on. Pokemon. Now this one I'm pretty certain a bunch of you are excited for, and when you see how this one turned out, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. I'm admittedly not the biggest Pokemon fan. I was a huge fan of Gen 1, obsessively so I took my inspiration from that generation, taking all that I know and making a sponge come to life. Which, for the record, a sponge in the world of Pokemon isn't the weirdest thing. There probably already is a sponge Pokemon that I don't know about, right? I bet there is. The Pokemon of old was very cute. Soft, rounded shapes, pretty simplistic designs, but effective in what they were. Adding little quirks to each of the Pokemon's designs, showcasing the inspiration behind them and also their abilities, such as fire on a Charmander's tail, red cheeks on an electric-type Pokemon Pikachu, bubbles on a sponge. I think it looks great. Honestly, this was probably the easiest to come up with. I could have made a million variants and I don't think any of them would have been wrong. But I think that's why Pokemon was so amazing. It was simple yet effective. It didn't feel ridiculous and it was accessible to all. A simple coloring style with very flat, bright colors and minimum shading impressions. A simple yet effective style. And a beautiful one. Sponge. I don't know if it would sound like that. That sounded a bit weird. That sounded worse. What do you think? Let me know. Pokemon fans, let me know. Did I do good? I think I did good. I like this. This is nice. It's cute. It's spongy mod. Moving on. Disney. This one's gonna be special. I'm gonna say that right now. Spoiler. Because it's such an iconic art style. Now, I am taking a slightly cheeky approach here by using an extremely iconic pose of both SpongeBob and Mickey Mouse. This is an old trick to make a style become more recognizable to the reference material. Using such an iconic pose allows for much quicker recognition when you view the final result. Does that mean it's cheating? Does that make it bad? Not necessarily. Sometimes attributes to a character, such as key features like Mickey's gloves, are the iconic part of the style. So I think borrowing them sometimes, it's okay. But the gloves are definitely taking some creative liberties here. But don't worry, it's still gonna be original, I promise. And while I was working on this, I was trying to think of something smart to say about the design and what the secret to this design is, but I'm gonna say something pretty ridiculous here. The secret to the Disney style is happiness. I know, it sounds ridiculous. I can't express it. But the design is happy. The design feels soft, doughy. The shoes, they're like marshmallow clouds. The arms are short and curved. The face, oh my god, look at the face. It's so cute. It's so happy. And the inking really serves to apply an animation feel in my opinion. I do think the inking is an important part of this style because what you want are extremely clean and smooth lines with a reasonable thickness to the outer edges and a more thin line as we approach those inner details. And my gosh, this is beautiful. So let's run it with some color. I can't see color too well. Why am I an artist? Actually, if I'm being honest, this is the most difficult one to color today. The style involves a lot of blending and focus around rounding off those shapes. It is a pretty easy coloring style, if I'm being honest, though it does require a lot of time and care to get it right, and one mistake can make everything here go wrong. It's definitely the longest piece to color today, But that may be a good sign and lead to it being better, perhaps. Guys, check this. What do you think about this? I am actually mind blown here. I think this is fantastic. It's so rare for me to like my artwork. This is amazing. I love it. I'm sorry, I love it. Moving on, Tim Burton. So this style is easily the fan favorite. This was the style everyone looked forward to the most back in the day when I used to make this series, and for good reason. I, for some reason, know how to do this style. I don't know how, but apparently I could. And it's become such a natural thing to me now to do this style that it's very difficult to actually explain the style. But there are key features to this style that you want to keep in mind when creating it. Firstly, those large eyes. You need those eyes to be huge. And with a character like Spongebob, they already exist. So because they already exist, I want to make them slightly different just to remove the copy-paste Spongebob into this. So messing with the eyelids just a little bit, and with the coloring later on, we'll be adding some more in there, but we'll get onto that in just a second. Making that smile creepy. We want to make him happy because a lot of the characters are happy, but we want to make it kind of creepy. In order to do that, I just want to show more of the gum. Show the gum, show those teeth, and of course, keep that mouth dark. We're gonna keep that mouth empty because it works. I don't know why. I decided to also throw in a few little extra details, such as using a toothpick for one of the arms and the end of a strawberry. Don't ask me why, but I thought a strawberry stuck in a sponge just sounded like a good idea. There are stains on the sponge, there are things dripping as if the sponge has been used, some holes, it works. I also put Gary in there, crawling out of Spongebob. It's disgusting. This is a disgusting thing. But as we move into the inking, and by the way, the inking just needs to be very thin lines. It's totally fine to do the inking how you wish. The style is already there. But I do want to touch on those sunken cheeks. A lot of the Tim Burton characters do have sunken in faces, so I wanted to put that into the design of Spongebob by just dipping the center of Spongebob inwards. Wow, this is creepy. That's beautiful. But now the coloring. This is the most important part of this style. Without this coloring, everything falls apart. So the first thing I do is lay a pastel, kind of washed out, desaturated color down. And then I go into it with some gray variants. I want to desaturate it even further. I want to remove that color, yet still keep the color in there, but adding some gray, grayish blue, brownish gray, yellowish gray stuff. We just want to add gray, basically. Focusing on sinking in those eyes. We want the area around the eyes to be nice and dark. We want the eyes to look quite sickly. This is a gruesome piece and it's beautiful and I love it, and I wish everything was just in Tim. I wish I was in Tim Burton style. That would be freaky. I really like it. I really enjoy this style so much, and it becomes, I'll be honest with you, this is the easiest style for me to draw. I love it. I love it. Moving on. Crash Bandicoot. Okay, Crash Bandicoot is one of my favorite games of all time, if not my favorite game of all time. I've never done a style like this before, and to be honest, I don't know if there actually is a Crash Bandicoot style. So for this one, I decided to just, well, make Spongebob a mask. There really wasn't too much for me to think about here. It was actually quite an easy journey. By using Aku Aku as a basis for the design and taking some of the elements from Aku Aku and bringing them into Spongebob, I really didn't find much of a challenge here. I thought adding the knots of wood as the holes of Spongebob quite a clever addition. But really and truly, there just isn't much for me to say about this one until we get to the coloring stage. For the coloring, and we'll get to it in just a second, but I took inspiration from the pineapple that Spongebob lives in, and the feathers or leaves on the top of this mask are actually representative of the pineapple. The feather, or again leaf, underneath the chin is representative of Spongebob's tie. I felt like this was a pretty clever one actually, but there's not much to say about it. It is just Spongebob as a mask. Do you like it? Do you love it? I'll be honest with you, I love it. No, we're at the end of the video. Guys, that's it. That was the 5 styles of today's video. Next episode, we're gonna be doing the remaining styles, and I'm really excited to tackle a few of these. I think you're gonna like one of them. Just a big hint here. I think you're gonna like it. But I have to ask the question that I posed to you at the beginning of this video. Which one of these style swaps is your favorite? Dragon Ball Z. Did you like this one? What do you think about it? I think this one is absolutely fantastic. It captures the classic Dragon Ball style very, very, very well, but it does look like a bit of an odd character. Pokemon. This one, arguably one of the best ones. Beautiful style, looks fantastic, looks legitimately like a Pokemon. I'm in love with this one, to be honest. This is my favorite one. It's just beautiful. Disney. This one embodies everything about Disney. I truly believe that this one captures the style of Disney perfectly. Was there a little bit of cheating taking place here? Absolutely. Using Mickey Mouse as a bit of a basis, using Spongebob almost directly as a basis, yeah. But hey, that was the point of today's challenge. What do you think about this one? Tim Burton? I don't even think there's words for this one. It's fantastic. I love this one. I do think it captures quite a lot of that essence of Tim Burton. I do think that the color schemes could have been better. I do think some of the details could have been a bit more improved, maybe a bit more gore, a bit more gruesome stuff in there. I don't know, but what do you think about this one? And finally, Crash Bandicoot. Probably the least style swap of all of them, but definitely the one that fits in its universe, perhaps the best. Which one of these styles is your favorite? Comment down below, edit your comment, comment underneath your comment, let me know if I met your expectations. And with that all being said, I look forward to seeing you all again in part 2, where we will be completing these remaining styles. Until next time, take care, and I will see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.